Today is August 3rd, 2026. Now, we're going to put it this way in the dynamics of what happened. Okay? I want you to think about how it's put together. The FBI sanctioned and opened a real attempted murder case with me. The threat and attempt to lie case for an FBI informant with statements, okay, and a court order to legally surveillance me to find out who all is behind it. Problem of it is, one of their agents were part of the attempted murder. And he was planning on running a con off the real case that is being opened to steal from the government for his prostitute girlfriend. And then he supposed to have took a payoff from the cartel to get a fraud case going, get thrown out for fraud, and the drug dealers arrested could sue the government for tens of millions of dollars for false arrest under fraud that he defrauded me. Okay? That's where the FBI needs to pay me. I'm not Agent John's informant. I'm the FBI's informant. They need to pay me, compensate me for the injuries. Like Walter, he used to work at the prosecutor's office. They can get it thrown out for him not paying you. You have to be paid to be surveillanced. Every informant gets paid. Okay? That's where they probably need a statement so they can't get it for abuse. That, I was willing to stay up there while the FBI surveillance me. So they get these people threatening my life and harming me and others. And knowing I was risking my life with personal injuries, possible death, but still willing to stay there to help them get surveillance on these people that were threatening my life and harming others, knowing the agency would be the one paying me and compensating me, knowing my rights at the First Amendment, freedom of speech. That agent doesn't have enough authority to ask anybody to stay quiet, and he was only bullying me, and that the agency would be taking care of it. Notarize it, takes it into a willing, knowledgeable worker, and paid informant, and it seals the loophole he left open so it gets thrown out. Okay, now with the dynamics of how it's set up, each player. Agent John has a prostitute girlfriend. He has to pay today because she's a prostitute. Her name's Michelle. Okay, she's in debt to drug dealers. So he's gonna take a fast way of robbing the government with a fraud case. And that Will, that they checked his credentials, he is not a real attorney. I didn't think he was. He doesn't know one law. He's probably the drug dealer she's in debt to. Where they said he was showing off, bringing all his drug connections down here. Yeah, he's a human trafficker, a big drug dealer. Running a con here. Okay. So, with Michelle being Agent John's prostitute girlfriend in debt to drug dealers, happens to be Katie's family member from Lighthouse. Okay? Dave's old church. That, her dad, Pete, okay? He impersonates a Henry Maffei, impersonates a fake dirty doctor breaking HIPAA, setting up their con. And where I have 4 attempts on my life, then they show up and scare me into calling the hotline, and he's ready to grab that case. So we can steal from the government. So, we're Agent John's girlfriend in front of the Stark County Sheriff's. June 26 was laughing how the drug dealers they hired picked me out personally to do it to. Where November 23rd, 25, Macy's downstairs, some girls were there saying they needed someone to run a con on, a scam on to extort money from the government. Her ex-husband was connected to us. We asked him if we could do it to her. He said yes, if they made sure he got everything in the divorce. Get the idea? And where she said the drug dealers they hired to do this to me, it's Judge Peter Scrooge from Florida. Bragg-Detley Family Church, January to March of 19. It was them doing it to me and doing it to me before and harming me before. It was them. In front of 3,000 people. Get the idea what's going on? All right. Now, in that, so where she said the drug dealers we hired to do this to her, they picked her out personally. They taped her in the shower, washing herself, and photoshopped that in the other room to make her look weird with herself. They were making fun of her. Ha, 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 ha. It's my family doing all this to steal from me. Okay. Now, think the dynamics. It's Agent John's prostitute girlfriend, her dad, and the drug dealer they're in debt to, running a con. To steal from the government. Get an idea? And so Agent John, being Michelle's boyfriend, his prostitute, that her and that guy Pete, her dad, is connected to Katie. He knew I hadn't seen her in years, or talked to her in years, 7 years or more. Said only hi, maybe if she passed in the mall. We had nothing to do with her. We avoided her like the plague. He knew I never threatened her. Never was mean to her. Had no contact with her. Hadn't been a member of that church since '03. Told you I only visited twice in 2011 when they were making up stories. Got to a church I was at, and I thought if I went in there, asked Dave if I could go with him. Went in there like 2 times, hoping somebody would say why, and they didn't. That place gave me nightmares. Okay? Had nothing to do with them. No phone numbers, no addresses, no contacts. And when she made up a bunch of, Katie made up a bunch of stories about her and Dave, and she dates my brother-in-law, Tim, since '01, and she was the one, Linda, my sister, was following, cheating with her husband, and Strange thought it was me and made up that lie, calling me a faker when it was fraud, medical malpractice, and medication errors. Almost killed me. It took me almost a year to get well. And then pushed my son to suicide because he was so angry thinking I followed his son cheating. Here's my sister following her husband. That's Katie. That's her family doing this. Get an idea. It wasn't even me. Get an idea. So with Agent John dating Katie's family, he knew I had no contact with her. Like they said, March 30th, 26 in Dutch Valley Restaurant. Katie had told all those people I never threatened her, never was mean to her. She lied. So people would help out. She was getting even because I went and talked to her in '03. When people found out she was cheating with my sister's husband, and my sister wouldn't stand up for herself, so we avoided her. They didn't blame me. It had been 15 years for the case started, 23 now. So he knew I had no contact with her. I told you, Dave got mad enough in 2011 he quit his church. Went up to Pamers. Now get an idea what's going on. Okay, so I have no contact with him. He would know that. And being a federal agent, he would be able to see my medical records. What? Does it say in 2002? All those doctors were defrauding me. Ripping me off, making me sick with the wrong medication and falsely diagnosed me. It's all documented fraud, medical malpractice, and medication errors. Almost killed me. He'd be able to see that. Oh, Whitney. The only thing was wrong with me was my muscles locked up from all those surgeries. And then proven when I got off all the medication, I got well over a year. About 9 months. He would also see what? We reported somebody using my insurance, and it was insurance fraud. He would also see that I froze my credit several times and disputed things on my credit. So there's somebody with identity fraud trying to be careful. They got it out of Dave March 27, 25. Daddy was letting a girlfriend from before me use my insurance. It made him marry me to get a job at my dad's factory so she'd have free insurance to use. Our marriage was a scam. Get the idea? Got it out of that family. Why on earth would you say it offended you that Strange called her a faker 6 months after a traffic accident she had nothing to do with? Said that they were all in the FBI office lying to help these people get away with it. It didn't even concern him. Lisa's father killed her kid. He told another investigator that showed up March 20th, 26 in Walmart West Task by the electronics while I'm in there. March 20th, 26, how that FBI agent showed up and told them that. That they were all in there lying to the FBI. Well, why would they lie? Help them get away with this. Why? Because it's Katie's family. Get the idea? So Agent John knew all this. Did you tell those people to act all offended like a religious crazy girl? Tell Katie to act like, oh, she threatened me, she said mean to me, help, and knowing I had no contact with her. So they can set up this big con on somebody they don't see or talk to. She wouldn't know who was doing it. They said stuff like that in 18 and 19. Was set up so she wouldn't know who actually did it. Yeah. See, Agent John, you knew all that. And you did all this for your girlfriend. See, that's where, all law enforcement knows the First Amendment freedom of speech. Not even a judge can take your freedom of speech away except for in a jury trial while the proceedings are going on. It's under the color of the law. No one can take your rights away. And what is a jail sentence for an FBI agent if he tells an informant, if they say anything, they won't get their money? Blackmail, extortion out of government funds, crime against the U.S. government. Tampering with a witness and obstruction to justice. It is 20 to life, and the jail sentence for the judge signing it is abuse of authority. And they lose their license and 20 to life. The same thing if he would say that and they wouldn't have protection. It's attempted murder. Aiding and abetting crimes, obstruction of justice, tampering with a witness. 14th Amendment, you cannot withhold protection from any U.S. citizen in any jurisdiction. The judge would go to jail 20, 30 years too. See the twilight zone of the con and his prostitute girlfriend and her family and those cults ran. And them acting religious heresy, tricking other religions into helping out to pay off a prostitute's drug debt. And for him to help the cartel steal tens of millions of dollars of money from the government for false arrest under fraud because he defrauded me. And see, that's where my friend Walter used to work at the prosecutor's office. If the FBI does not pay you, they do not stand up for that case, it will get thrown out. The surveillance, and every drug dealer will walk, and they can sue the FBI for false arrest under fraud. My case led into the nationwide human trafficking scam, where the FBI calls it countrywide. Like they said, there was a chance to get away into the cartel, and they took it, of them running a scam on a victim. And that way they could surveillance me and get them. They took it. And they didn't just get hundreds, they got thousands. It will cost the government $10 to $25 billion. Everybody will have to pay for this. Not only in the loss of lives from those serial killers getting out, but your gas prices. How are we going to absorb that much loss? Gas prices. What will it be? $7, $10 a gallon? Groceries will be 3 times more. We will be in the biggest recession you've ever seen to pay off that. See, people forget that back in 2020, 21, 22, till they started getting all these big arrests, 30, 45 children out of Cleveland in 2 weeks. Columbus, 20, 25. Toledo, same amount. In a matter of weeks. People are disappearing by the hundreds out of Ohio. It was 21 or 22, 6,000 people got human trafficked in Ohio. Where those drug dealers and cartels play this cruel game of who paid for the harassment. Came down and would harass me. And they followed each one back. And they'd show up. They found victims. Hundreds of them. Thousands went to jail. My case was a small piece of that mega case that led into really big arrests and saved hundreds of lives. Most people win awards for being part of that. But the agent that thought he could, what did he think he was going to take his part of the 10 to 25 billion, take his prostitute and their family and skip the country? And it should be November, December of 18 at night. Judge Peter's group has already announced themselves. They're the ones doing it. Okay. My ex-husband was a very rude, arrogant man. Okay. Well, he got rude with big drug dealers. So they showed up and told on him. Showed up, walked around me. We were out at night. And how, they were calling him a fucking bastard, arrogant asshole. Who does he think he is talking to us like that? Would he like us to do this to him? We get paid to do it to her. I know. Dave wants us to take her out and kill her. I don't care what he says. Why waste a good woman when we could sell her? Make money off of her. I don't care what he says. And then they told on him and Melissa, my ex-daughter-in-law. Melissa and Dave had this planned out for months before it happened. How everything was going to be done. Where Dave made a comment in September of 18 that him and Jack had it planned out since March. Well, Melissa was involved. Where she told Dixie, and Dixie said it April 6, 25, Melissa said the group of people they hired to break in my home and set up on cameras and do things to me. Okay? Melissa and Dave had this planned out for months, how they were going to do it, to ensure they both get everything in the divorce. So when she goes for complete custody of the kids, she won't be able to help John. Dave and Melissa decided that she'd be the more suitable parent and that she should get the kids. They used Z drugs on her. When they drugged her and told her to say it before, it erases your memory as it happened. It causes amnesia. You're sleepwalking. And the dangers of using it, because you're wide awake walking around sleep. I mean, you're awake talking, but your conscious is shut down. Your subconscious is running. And you can drive a car, eat, cook, have sex, no memory. And that's where the drugs and told us say it. Okay? She has no memory of what those people did to her before. Dave was part of drugging her and telling her to say it in the house. They used Z drugs on her that raised her memory as it was happening, the amnesia drugs. She has no memory of any of those people or anything from before. Too bad we don't have a drug to erase her memory of what we're doing to her now. They ratted him out in 18. 19, they were talking about Louisville. How they acted like Dave and Melissa were actually a couple. And I made comments. I knew the police could hear me. And I was like, does John know his wife was cheating with his dad? I mean, yeah, and it's sick. Then think of how it, in my video, I said March, but Melissa didn't move out until the week of when we closed. She moved out like the Monday, which would have been May 21st, 2018, when we had everything in storage units and a storage unit in Aunt Danny's. Couldn't get John to come over and pick up his tools, okay? It's the only thing left in my garage. And we were actually supposed to close that Monday, and they changed the date. And we even forgot to stop the electric from being turned off, and it was turned off at 8 in the morning. Had to run out, grab some clothes, and run out and get the electric company to turn it back on. And Dave's like, that's it, I can't wait no longer for him to come get his stuff. So we loaded it up, took it over, and we could see her. He called us. She's leaving me again. Well, they broke up 10, 20 times over 10 years. One time they were apart for over a year. Okay? So we try to stay out of it, don't fight in front of the kids. Pull in, see her packing. She comes out, hi, what are you doing here? Well, we got John's stuff. Oh, put it against the house. Kids run out, they're real little, waving at us hi, and run off chasing each other. Okay? Talk to her for a minute or two. And we leave. Okay? We closed that Friday on the 25th, May 25th, 2018. Okay? both houses. We, by the 6th day, by the 30th or 31st, someone has kicked in my door while we're at the storage unit into the wall. Because it was all set up. By June 7th, I'm covered in bruises, laying on the floor in between the kitchen and the living room, and the room is spinning. And I got bruises on me. I'm severely infected. And I'm blaming the orange well water I have to take a fast shower in, thinking it's toxic. And here it just has several types of iron and rust in it. And I'm being drugged, beat, and raped. And it kept happening. Almost passed out in front of the neighbor, and outside when I was trying to mow the lawn, I kept collapsing. My heart was racing through my neck. It comes over. I'm a nurse. Can I help you? I don't know what's wrong with me. I'll mow your lawn for you. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I don't have money to pay you. My neighbors don't pay each other. And we go back and forth. And I finally let him mow my lawn. Everybody knew it happened and kept happening. Lost 18 pounds. Or called the FBI. So with this being Agent John's girlfriend's dad, that Pete guy, that he made fun of me on a recorded line, it's his girlfriend's father. The fake dirty doctor is his girlfriend's father. Same person when you find out who they are. The damning evidence where he's laughing stops. You don't know. He knew I didn't know. Because it's a big scam. Drug confessions, photoshopping and washing. Scam. He knew it. See, in 18 and 19, they tried to say that he was part of it, that agent, setting up this whole scam. People would say, look at him and say, you don't want to say that. Because those people were drug beating, raping her, and drugging her up and telling her to say stuff. And photoshopping things. Then he was planning this whole thing to steal from the government from the beginning. Exactly. See, they opened a real attempted murder case. My life was in danger. But the problem of it is, one of their agents was one of the ones harming me. And trying to steal from the government. And run a con off of one of the real cases. For them to keep the case legit, they need to, like Walter said, they need to pay you. Absolutely have to pay you. And if they do the willing worker of me willing, that I work for them, not him. I was willing to stay up there while they surveillanced me, knowing I was risking my life, possible death, and personal injury, but still willing to stay while they got surveillance on those people to stop them. Knowing the FBI, the agency alone would be the one paying and compensating me for any injury, knowing my the First Amendment freedom of speech, that other agent was only bullying me. Okay, something like that. Sign it, it will work. Even investigators said we wish they would take her offer because it will seal the case, the loophole of me being defrauded. Okay. Now, at the beginning of the case, I woke up with another giant bruise on my leg, big as a lemon. Went down to, I was throwing up that morning. I got myself together, went down to Walmart, 62 by Wood Forest. An old man walked up to me. For every idle word you tell on us, I'll turn it on you. Trying to leave Dave, I'll let you a child molester. Like they said, her face had been priceless. Of who the hell are you? You know, I've never seen that man before. You know that bruise on your leg? I used sodium pentothal on you. The old asshole admitted he stabbed me in my sleep with a drug. Who did he say worked for? Dave. You know what you said to me? You were wearing this one nightgown, you bent over, and probably once they accidentally seen your butt in a life of pain because of it. Try to leave Dave, I'll let you child molest you for that. Got away from that freak. Got home to a legally bunked house. I had a date to bunk it. I was dressed modestly. I have varicose veins on the back of my knees. They only made fun of the back of my knees. And I didn't even own that nightgown when that happened. He made the whole thing up. Then other people came up. We had drugged you and told you to say this. Where you had bruises and where you're infected. It wasn't the well water. It was us. We had drugged you and told you to say this. We had drugged you and told you to say that. I used to spend half the day debunking lies. And their scam. They told people, we have the right to drug her, to get the truth out of her. Nobody has the right to drug you. It's pharmaceutical torture. No coerced confession is admissible. Like they said, when the case first started, people showed up and said that they worked for Dave. And they were drugging me and telling me to say lies. Get the idea? So did Agent John know they drugged me and told me to say it by drug dealers? Oh, yeah. Just like his prostitute girlfriend in front of the Stark County Sheriff's, the drug dealers we hired to do this to her personally picked her up so they could steal from me. The drug dealers we hired taped her washing herself in the shower. Photoshopped that in the other room to make her look weird with herself. They were making fun of her. Well, the drug dealers already confessed they photoshopped all their lies in 18. 21 that it was a shower scene. 22 that Pete ordered it. February, March of 22, I was working in a bar. They told my client's neighbor that Pete ordered everything drugged and photoshopped and made up on me. The prostitute's dad. Get the idea? The man that admitted he never met me in person. And the man that admitted he was trying to pull a fast one on the FBI and steal all the case's money for himself. Katie's family. See, that's where that investigator from March 20th, 26, how that FBI agent had showed up over a year ago, how that family admitted they were all lying to the FBI to help them get away with it. Okay? June 3rd, 26, they got a hold of him down in Bell's Store in Magnolia. That, he told them that my ex-daughter-in-law and her kids are documenting me games of pretend and that I had never hurt anyone. It was the human traffickers in my home. The ones that were selling people here. And it's a scam they're running. See, that's where those two guys said that they work for the drug lord. Is Will the drug lord? Makes you wonder. They talked to Melissa, and she was willing to have the kids lie. And I told her to say, "You're kidding," and laugh. They walked around. They followed Melissa, wanted to know what it was. She gets caught friends with Agent John's prostitute girlfriend, Katie's family member, telling the kids to lie. And on Thanksgiving of 18, that they wanted the house for Auntie Cheryl and Popo. And later on to Flora. They made everything up. They were games of pretend, laughing, sick shit. John's totally defended me when I asked him what's going on. He didn't know. Melissa would just have the kids and the church people make up something because of the divorce, but don't worry about it. Nobody can say anything bad about you. And defends me several times. I called Dave to clarify everything. That, I haven't been around anybody more than 4 or 5 minutes out of the whole year. John's kids only came over on the holidays unless something happened. Because they had big careers, their own friends, they were successful. They only came over on the holidays. John called all the time. He would stop in. But Melissa and the kids only came usually on the holidays. Okay? So that, I had Dave verify. I haven't been around anybody more than 4 or 5 minutes out of the whole year. And not alone. And he defends me. Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids. You would never hurt anyone. You're good to everyone, no matter who it is. We talk about Melissa going to have the kids lie because of the divorce. And how it'd be rotten of her and all this other stuff. And here they're in it together. But he's defending me because I expect him to. Tape him, and the police and the FBI tape him defending me. Okay? Myers, May 9th, 26th, in alliance by the Register, investigators announced that a so-called attorney for children is not an attorney. Checked his credentials; they're not real. It's one of some guy Dave hired on his own, and they think it may be one of his girlfriend's dads. It's that bad. Just pretending to be one. Within the last 2 months, down in the Bell Store, Magnolia, Carrollton area, people were talking about Melissa being in it with the drug dealers, having them drug me and tell me to say it before, because she didn't want a person like me raising her kids. And that way I couldn't help John when they went for a divorce. And she'd be insured to get everything. Big guy walked up. Officer Mark made a big mistake letting her go. Well, July 22nd, 26th, Myers in alliance again. People are talking about them saying how Melissa was in it with those drug dealers, having me drugged and told to say it before to make sure she got everything in the divorce, and I couldn't help John when she went for custody because she didn't want a person like me raising her kids. Nobody will say a word. She had those drug dealers do it to you. People are talking in Bob Evans. Some guy was there. He said, "I never want to see or talk to Melissa ever again. You tell everyone you know, never talk to her." He said, "I didn't find this funny the other day when I was in that other store, Walmart and Alliance. July 8th, 26th, in the back, they said it was that Will guy. Taunting me. I made a person like her live through complete horror. I taught a person like her a lesson." What, his victim? He's running a scam on? Screaming at Walmart. He's like, "I heard that guy say he had made her live through complete horror. I didn't find it funny then." He said, "Now I heard those people, that they knew of those people saying Melissa was part of those drug dealers having her drugged and told to say it before. Because she didn't want a person like her raising her kids, make sure she couldn't help John get custody of the kids during the divorce. And a person like her, and she's the one that had drug dealers do it to her. I never want to see her talk to her ever again. You tell everybody not to ever talk to Melissa. There was a group of people came in and sat behind us, and they kept banging the back of my booth. So you want to eavesdrop? I'll give you something to hear. You want to hear about hypnotic drugs and how they bragged in front of the cops and feds they used them on me before? Caused sleepwalking when they drugged me and told me to say it before? The photoshopping and washing? Melissa's me games of pretend. That Henry Moffey being that girl's father. And going on and on and on. How I rode the White House. I go use the bathroom. Carl and his daughter Audrey go outside, and that people sitting behind us was outside the restaurant. Restroom. While I was in there. Could hear them talking real loud. None of this is funny. Some lady's running around with a list of who wants to get money off this. I realize it's an arrest warrant. Of finding out who's all involved. Trying to extort money from the government. I heard those people over in Myers, saying how that Melissa was part of hiring those drug dealers. To have her drugged and told to say it before. Because she didn't want a person like her getting a divorce. She said she would, and then And I listened to her talk at that table. She's wrote the White House. Look at all those cars outside. Do you realize who's in those cars? I do. It's called help. It's called a cry for help. See, that's where everybody ought to be online. FBI submit a tip. Contact the White House, drop down president, email them. Contact the CIA. They help work the case. There's 4 nationals involved. Met a retired CIA agent, Joe Talkstone. U.S. Marshals work my case in different police departments. Part of the nationwide human trafficking scam. Like Officer John, January 12, 22. What do those kids get tapes dated? Melissa's kids? They made everything up. Like the Massillon police told Mount Carmel, Illinois, June 23rd to July 4th of 21. They're documenting me games of pretend. What did that investigator say, June 3rd, 23? They're documented me games of pretend. That I'd never heard anyone. Never hurt anyone. I was found innocent of everything in 18. It's that bad. Starr County Sheriff's laughed at some guy named Kurt May at 21. Kurt just found out those kids are lying as well. They were taped saying that they made everything up in an FBI case. Nobody got hurt. Like those 2 guys that said they worked for a drug lord, there's a real problem. Nobody actually got hurt. Nobody went to the hospital. There's no police report. There's no pictures of injuries. There's no treatments for injuries, and there's no physical evidence because they're mean jokes. Yeah, that's why my other granddaughter was laughing. I wouldn't even have known what the mean jokes were if Flora wouldn't have stated them. They wouldn't tell me. They just said, Melissa's so stupid she made everything up when you were fishing with Dave. She's actually that stupid she didn't check where you were. And Officer Mark, Melissa could go to jail for involving herself in this. I'd hate to arrest her. Our kids a little. We'll write it up that they were just showing off for David and his girlfriend. So they're documenting me jokes. Okay? October 23rd, 2019. I'm at Brielle's party. I said, do you know how mad I was when I heard those kids say they wanted the house for Auntie Shell and Pablo? Flora's little. She's like, that's not what they said. They said this. And it was filthy. Make up something, call me a bad word. That's all they tell me. I thought she was in it with the drug wrong nightgown and butt lie. I thought that was a mean game of pretend. Was a hell of a lot worse. Whiteface had been priceless. I would have spanked them all if I was their mother. And they would have been confessing to everyone they lied, and I will not lie on another person like 1,000 times. They'd be afraid to lie on somebody when I got done with them. Josh went, ooh, don't say it again. It's not true. Well, of course it's not true. Of course it never happened. We made it up. They were games of pretend. Sit down next to me, chuckling, circling her lips and what? Quit laughing. Yeah. They used to scream about Melissa's lies on Louisville Street, or up in Louisville. They also would, they were talking everywhere. I went not because they sold the login to the case of government technology. In the first month of the case, Will found another way of making money off the case. He's selling the login for $25 a pop. It went nationwide. M13 is now live streaming protected custody cases on the internet for people in the witness protection program to be harassed. They got the login from my case in 18. Get the idea? I went into Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Illinois, 21, and then 19, Kentucky and Illinois, they had the login. It's nationwide, probably worldwide at this point. It's on the web. Yeah, they do. July 30th, 26th at the Wellness Grove on Fulton. Some girls come in little tiny outfits. Totally inappropriate for an office. Like a sports bra and a pair of shorts. You can see everything. Almost. Bend over, you can see their crack and their butt cheeks. Kind of thing. Look like a stripper. Because usually at one point or another they bring in strippers or prostitutes. While my grandson was having counseling, I went to use the restroom. I could hear a girl talk to some guy in there behind a door. And she's so loud. You can hear her. My dad's paid for about everything. We're teaching a person like her a lesson. They're a victim. You know what I mean? Her family will not verify the tapes before. Well, no, they weren't in it with the drug cartel. Sorry, honey. They're probably just embarrassed. We're teaching her a lesson because they're stealing from the government. It's a big con. You know. Agent John allows his girlfriend's dad to break in private homes. Set up button cameras, watching people break in and do stuff to him. Oh, wow. Thank you. We're confessing. Agent John, where it says, what does it say? On Google, what is a jail sentence for an FBI agent if he allows his girlfriend's father to break in private homes, set up button cameras. Automatic termination, 5 to 20 years, without the drugs, beat, and rape. Get the idea. Someone needs to arrest him. And soon. And the FBI, where they opened a legitimate case of attempted murder case, threatened attempted life case, my life was in danger. But one of the problems of it is, their agent was part of the attempted murder. And he thought he could run a con off of it. They arrest him and then pay me, compensate me. I'll sign that willing worker. I work for them, not him, and they can take care of him. And everybody else involved. I'm going to upload this.